It's a cowardly attack. It's unprovoked and it clearly was planned and premeditated. It is unknown and unclear why these individuals have targeted this victim, and in particular a 5-year-old child.
My son Lucas and I had been in the park in the day, and we arrived home at around 7. A friend of mine came over around 8:30, and we all listened to some music. Lucas was particularly tired, so I put him to bed.
Good night. See you in the morning.
Night, Mum.
My friend popped out to the shops at around 2 a.m. I then chatted to some friends on the phone.
At approximately 2:15 a.m, 2 men were spotted on CCTV in a nearby alleyway.
I heard a loud noise downstairs, like the boiler had exploded, and ran to the top of the stairs. When I saw flames at the bottom, they were bright orange and all around the bottom of the door. I was so scared. I ran back upstairs and screamed to my friends on the phone that someone had set my house on fire. I got my son and scooped him up in my arms whilst he was still asleep. Ran through the upstairs living room, but realised the only way back out was through the front door, through the fire. My mental health has been awful since this happened. I heard a bottle fall outside the other day, and I was in bed, shaking like a leaf. I've even had nightmares of my son dying. We were extremely lucky that night. To know there were people just outside, ready to cause us so much pain, is unimaginable. I just don't know why anyone would want to do this to us, especially my 5-year-old son.
If it wasn't for the victim luckily being awake and it being a Saturday night, she would have perished, she would have died, as would have her 5-year-old child, which would have been unimaginable. This was a horrific, pre-motivated attack. This could easily have been multiple murders if it weren't for the brave actions of the mother. At this moment in time, it is unknown and unclear why these individuals have targeted this victim. The victim remains in constant fear. She's been moved away from her home, from her community. I believe that somebody does know what's happened. Really urge them to come forward. Give us enough grounds to suspect who it is so we can bring these people to justice.
I no longer have a place of my own. I'm living in fear. My son has gone backwards in school and he regularly mentions the fire, which is heartbreaking. I'm a shell of a person I once was. We live in fear, knowing that whoever has done this is still out there.
Such a scary thing to have to go through. Well, earlier I spoke to DC Aaron Stevenson, who you saw in the film there from Gwent Police, and I started by asking him how serious an incident this was.
It was a horrific incident which ultimately has caused huge devastation to mum and son. Son in particular was only 5 years of age at the time of the incident, and it's resulted in them moving away from the family home. It's been quite a horrific incident.
So what have you managed to determine about that night so far?
So the incident occurred on the 30th of April 2023 at approximately 02:15 minutes in the morning. Offenders have approached Hammond Place, which is the street behind Greenhill Place. They've then exited the vehicle and walked across a lane to the victim's home address. They can be seen on CCTV footage for a number of minutes before the incident, sort of loitering about the incident and, in my opinion, discussing what they're about to do. They then can be seen then on CCTV footage attending the victim's home address. A fire report has come back and shown that they've used an unknown accelerant to put through the letterbox. This can be seen on CCTV footage there. And shortly after that accelerant was put through, they've used an ignition to set the house alight. They've then ran back towards the way they've gone, got back into their vehicle in Hammond Place, and then headed back up the street and gone left towards Heel Edward Lewis. We believe then towards the Bargoed area, as a witness has seen a car that time of night heading towards that direction.
It's absolutely terrifying, isn't it, Aaron? And the damage to the home was extensive too. Have you been able to establish what it was that was put through the letterbox and what caused the fire?
In terms of the exact accelerant, no, due to the damage that was caused. However, we are aware that it was an accelerant, and the point of origin of the fire was at the front of that address. If the victim hadn't been up that time in the morning, which was fortunate, I'm certain that both her and her son would have passed away. As can be seen in the CCTV footage as well, she does actually run through the fire, quite literally with a child in her arms, to escape. But it's caused extensive internal damage. The victim and the mother no longer reside at the address, and in terms of that property, it's not structurally sound anymore.
Yeah, and as you say, they're so lucky to be alive. Let's talk in a bit more detail about the suspects. We've got an image from the CCTV that we can have a look at again now. You also haven't ruled out that there's a third person involved, have you?
That is correct. The CCTV footage of the car shows a dark-coloured small vehicle, possibly a hatchback or a small saloon. So we haven't ruled out the fact that there may be a third suspect, a third driver. As can be seen in that footage, one of the suspects in particular is wearing very distinctive clothing. He has fluorescent shorts. Due to the time of night, it's quite an odd thing to be wearing that sort of clothing. So if anybody's seen anybody with those descriptions that time of night, that'd be fantastic if they can come forward. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Are they left in a vehicle, as you said? Where did they travel towards? I mean, do we know any more information about the car?
In terms of the car, extensive CCTV inquiries have been conducted, but unfortunately at this moment in time we've only picked up the car on 2 CCTV cameras, which doesn't identify the vehicle registration number, unfortunately. We've conducted AMPR checks as well, and again nothing has been shown. But it appears to be a small vehicle. They've exited out of Hammond Place, headed left towards Heel Edward Lewis, and an independent eyewitness has seen the vehicle heading towards the Bargoed area, so we believe potentially that's where the suspects have gone.
Aaron, what would you say to anybody who's watching you has information about what happened?
This is a very serious incident which has affected the lives of mum and son, both of them of which have attended hospital. Mum did sustain injuries. Fortunately, both of them were okay. However, this could have been significantly worse if mum hadn't been awake. The circle around the suspects is closing. People are coming forward. They are giving me names. That list at the moment is unfortunately too large to bring suspects in. In the last week or so, I've had forensics back, which has given me a mixed profile on potential suspects. In order for me to run that through the database, I need a list of names in order to do that. Otherwise, the profile's going to be too large. So if somebody can come forward with a small bit of information, be it a car, which we could link offenders to, or names, which we could link suspects to that DNA, we can potentially place the suspects at that time and place in that location, and hopefully we can move forward and bring justice for the victim and her son.
Aaron, thanks so much for joining us this morning.